hosted by Mike, the Big
Steve. Well?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Yeah, good.
Oh, good. Well, listen, I'm thrilled that it's been a couple of years since we've had a new solo record by you, but it's not new music by you. We've gotten stuff from Black Star Riders, but I love it when you do your solo stuff. It takes me to a whole nother level and a whole nother world.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Like I said, what an amazing record. I mean, I'm reading the title of the record when it came out, and I'm like, this sort of describes like what everybody's going through right now. People that lived life at one time, we're kind of not living it right now anymore.
Exactly. You know, man, it's strangely kind of prophetic in that the record was written way before the pandemic and recorded before the pandemic. It was written in 2019 and recorded in 2019. I'm sorry. So it was done and dusted before this ever was coming down the pipeline. So the fact that these songs, in a weird way, have taken on even more of a meaning now is strangely eerie, you know. But hey, you know, hopefully these songs will stand the test of time. So that's good to know.
Absolutely. And anytime you come up with a new song idea, let me know ahead of time because maybe I can predict what's going to happen next year.
You want the lottery numbers for next week?
What are they? I'm writing them down. We'll go 50-50.
Oh, dear, yeah.
But yeah, listen, I'm such a big fan of yours going back for decades now.
Thank you.
And you know, one thing that I love about your music is that you have no trouble crossing barriers and boundaries, you know, mixing things together and coming up with your own sound. A lot of artists would be a little leery about that because it would be hard to kind of pinpoint the like one specific audience. But you're like, I'm throwing this into a blender because this is what I love, and what comes out comes out.
Yeah, I just don't love one genre of music. I mean, I just love music, and if that's, you know, the Temptations, or if that's Slayer and everything in between, then so be it, you know, because that's what I'm into, and I try to encompass all the influences and don't want to sort of pigeonhole myself too much. So when I'm writing, you know, I'm dipping into everything that's influenced me over the years as an inspiration, and then, you know, I just try and sound like myself as much as I can when I'm making the records, and put as much Ricky Warwick into those influences as possible. But yeah, I mean, music's a melting pot, and that's the way I look at it, and that's the way I think it should be.
Sure, I agree. I mean, in the end, isn't it a good song is a good song, whether it's you know, like a pop song, a country song, a dance song, no matter, a good written song that you're going to remember and sing to. The genre shouldn't matter.
That's what I adhere to. A good song is a good song is a good song, no matter what, you know, style it's in or whatever. If you can strip it down and play it on acoustic guitar, it's a great song.
Absolutely. I mean, what kind of frame of mind do you get into? Because, you know, between Black Star Riders and here, and I know you're not the only songwriter on Black Star Riders, you know, you got other people working in that with you, but here, I mean, it's really just like whatever pops up into your mind, you kind of go with it, because, you know, you have like a wealth of music that you draw from, and it seems like you're never short of songs.
Yeah, I mean, look, I am the main songwriter on Black Star Riders. I mean, I write a lot of the guitar riffs, and I write most of the lyrics in Black Star Riders, you know, so I'm trying to differentiate between the two. With Black Star Riders, we have a sound and we have a style that people know and are accustomed to, and I'm very conscious of that when I'm writing for Black Star Riders, because we're proud of that. We don't want to get too far away from that, because that's why people love the band. I'm also very conscious about what the other guys are going to bring to the ideas. Doing the solo stuff, like, all bets are off. You know, the road's wide open. You can be as narcissistic as you want to be. You can have whoever the hell you want playing on it. And I think that's the freedom that gives you. I mean, I'm blessed to be in both worlds, because I love being a Black Star Riders. But I love going off and doing my own thing. And there's certain ideas, certainly, that I come up with, there's no way that they'd work in the Black Star Riders context, but I know that they'll work with Ricky Warwick solo, and it gives me the freedom to be able to do both, which I'm very blessed to be able to do.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when I listen to the songs, I mean, you could tell that country music is a big part of your life, and when I think about some of those classic plays like Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings, these were some of the biggest badasses in the world. I mean, you talk about rock and heavy metal musicians, these guys blow them away, and musically they're incredible.
I agree, man. You know, yeah, these are the real outlaws. You know, my father was into all those artists, and he would play their records constantly, and that was my first real introduction to music was, you know, Patsy Cline, Johnny Cash, Jim Reeves, you know, Merle Haggard, all these greats. So that's where I sort of, you know, cut my teeth, and then obviously as I get older, you know, this whole landscape opens up, and yeah, but I mean, you know, country music, great real country music, as I like to call it. It's so good.
It is.
It's so badass, and you know, there was nobody cooler and meaner looking than Johnny Cash, in my opinion. He was great.
Absolutely. You know, when you hear these stories that tell about Motley Crue and Ozzy and what they did in the 80s, then you go back and you watch a documentary on Johnny Cash, and these guys are like, that's like preschool stuff. That's nothing compared to what these guys got into.
Yeah, I just, it was just, there's a lot of partying and that stuff in the 80s, and I get it, and it's fine, but these guys were like, obviously Johnny Cash going and playing in Folsom and all that kind of thing. They had that working class ethic, and they never really forgot where they were from, and, it was ingrained in their DNA, and I think that's why I can relate to a lot of the songs and the lyrics, more than I could than say Girls, Girls, Girls by Motley Crue.
True. Like you were saying earlier about, the music.
Not that that's a bad song, don't get me wrong.
I believe me, I agree with you. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
But when you say, you heard that music played in your house growing up, and I think most of us got into music that way by listening to what our parents were playing on the radio. When did it go to, being forced into listening to what they were playing to, finding your own way? When does it come when you say, you know what, I played that, but this is my generation, and this is what I want to be and what I want to get into? When do you make that crossover? Because eventually you come back to it again.
Yeah, well, me, it started with punk rock, in the late 70s, and the influx of punk bands in the UK, really getting into that. I was turning 12, 13, figuring out what life was going to be about, and having two older sisters that were rock music fans, reading their record collections, and that's, when Thin Lizzy came on the radar, Motorhead came on the radar, AC/DC started to come into my DNA as well, and suddenly I was like, wow, this is a power of the electric guitar here, this is something else, these guys can move mountains with this, I got to get some of that. How do I get involved in that? What do I need to do? What do I need to do to be as cool as they are? And then you just start devouring music, and you listen to the Sex Pistols, and you go, okay, whoa, they're getting it from this band, the MC5, they're getting the attitude from Iggy Pop and MC. So you start working all these connections out, and that's the beauty of music. You listen to something, and suddenly you find out, what their influences are and where it's connected to, and that, then the doors are just blown off for me when all that started to happen.
When do you go from being that kind of fan, devouring everything in, and wanted to maybe learn how to play an instrument and start a band, to saying, this is what I want to do for a living, this is what I want to try to make, my living at doing? I mean, it's a difficult decision to make when you get a little older. When you're a kid, you just throw,
Sure.
guts to the wind. But when do you say, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to give up on it?
Well, I went to a band called Stiff Little Fingers, a Belfast band, and they played in Belfast, my hometown, when I was 13 years old, and it's the first show I ever went to. And, I went into that concert like, a little spotty, skinny, scrawny kid. I walked out of that concert a spotty, skinny, scrawny kid, but I was armed with a mission, and that mission was to succeed in music and rock and roll no matter what it took. And that was it. I became that blinkered from that day on. Nothing was going to stop me. Limitations, ability, I was going to work at it, I was going to hustle, I was going to do what I had to do until I succeeded. And I'll be honest with you, that's what I did. Suddenly that became the sort of the focal point of my life, and I never really looked back.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the most brutal businesses in the world, the music business. I mean, what a roller coaster ride you can go through. But did there ever come a time where you just said, I can't do this no more, and you actually put down the guitar and said, I'm done?
It only happened to me one time, and yeah, it was the biggest mistake ever. I knew I was kidding myself. I was about to turn 30. I was back in Ireland. I'd been through a rough divorce. I'd lost my record, no record deal, no management deal, no publishing deal. Doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. All my own fault. All my own choices. The choices I was making went down a very, very sort of dark road, and put the guitar down for about 4 or 5 months, and just, I'm done. I'm gonna get start doing something else in my life, and it didn't last very long until I realized that the music is what makes me who I am, and the choices that I were making were responsible for the road I was going down. So I had to turn myself around and start heading back up towards the light, and that's really what I did, and picked up the guitar, and that's when I really started working on the solo stuff, and playing acoustically, and I had great help from some very good buddies like Joe Elliott that got me in the studio to make my first solo record, and that really got me back on track.
What was the turning point that turned it around for you? Where was the light? What was the light that made it come off and make you go back to music?
I think the light was Kenny realizing I was kidding myself, that, I'm done with music. You can never be done with music. It's in your DNA. You can never get it out there. The funny story, and this is a true story, was I started getting myself healthy because I was drinking too much and doing too much other stuff and feeling miserable and feeling sorry for myself. And I actually qualified as a personal fitness trainer. I started working at a gym in Dublin. And the second day I was working in the gym, this guy came in and he worked for a publishing company, and he recognized me and offered me a publishing deal there and then on the spot. And the publishing deal was what I would have made a year working as a personal trainer.
Wow.
And I just that's a sign. The stars have aligned. And I literally lasted 2 days in the job, and then I quit, and I was back making music again. So it was meant to be.
I'm glad for that. I'm glad you saw that light, because it's given us dozens of records over the years, one better than the other.
Thank you.
I mean, a couple of years ago with the Patsy Cline, it was crazy.
Yep.
What an amazing album that was. I mean, I know Nuclear Blast put it out as a double album with one before it, Hearts on Trees.
Yeah.
Such a acoustic and rock, mixed together. One album of one album of the other. And when I listened, I go, where was his head at when he was putting all this together? It just seems so much to take on, and
yeah.
I shake my head.
Thanks, man. I mean, I started writing that record with my buddy of mine from Belfast, Sam Robinson, and we started writing songs about growing up in Northern Ireland and our experiences when we were kids, growing up through the Troubles and beyond. And the songs just kept coming. It was only ever going to be an album, 11 songs. And suddenly I'm like, wow, we've got like 25 songs here, And I went to my management. I said, there's no way I can condense this into one record. And then we just hatched the idea to do the double album, make the full band album and one acoustic, and that's what we did. I mean, it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed making those records.
Yeah, I mean, was the Fighting Heart something that was just put together to go out, play the record live and put it on, or is this something that you want to continue doing under that banner?
Yeah, Mike, that's really the name I give the live band, the live touring band. And it's ever available out of my buddies. Whoever wants to do the tours when I go out solo, that's just the name for the guys in the band, the Fighting Hearts. So I'll continue that. When I go out playing solo with the band, it'll be Ricky Warwick and the Fighting Hearts.
I'm hoping you get out there and play solo again soon, or play anything again. So it's been a really.
I know. Yeah.
I know you had the acoustic virtual show last week, and you have something coming up with a Zoom session on February 20th, and it's a great way to at least keep in touch with the artists and see them performing again. But do you worry that I remember when MP3 started coming out, people nobody's gonna buy records no more or CDs, and it kind of took a little downturn where people were downloading music for free. Do you think that might happen now with bands saying, what, I'm not going to go out and play live no more. I'll just go on the internet, charge a few dollars, do a live show. I worry about live music now more than ever before.
I don't think you can ever replace live music. I think no matter how good technology gets, you'll never replace the spirit and the soul of actually going to a concert and standing shoulder to shoulder with somebody and soaking up that atmosphere. Yeah. There's no way you can replicate that. And I just think that's always going to be there. Listen, I will continue to do some of the online shows even when we get back to normality. When we go out, I'll do the odd one here and there because they're fun and they're easy. And you've got a worldwide reach right there at your fingertips. It's not the same. And I think people realize that it's not the same. And I'm not too worried about live shows. I think people will always want to go out and see bands.
They should, because that's really the only way to experience this kind of music or any kind of music is live in front of, whether it's a theater or, rock, country, it doesn't matter. You have to be out there. And I know over the years, some of these shows that I've gone to, I've seen the audience shrink. And you're like, why don't you go to a show? It's your favorite band. Oh, it's a Tuesday night. I was tired. I'm hoping that, when people didn't see a show for the last year, that they remember that and say, next time these guys come to town, I'm going out.
I hope it's not taken for granted the way it was, because obviously there was an abundance of live music, back before the pandemic hit. And I think you're right. I think people now, hopefully, will realize, we'll put those sort of lame excuses to one side and make the effort to get out and see a show.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I know you're in LA right now. I'm in New York, and it's horrible here, and it's probably the same over there for venues open up to play. There are some places in the other states that have, venues to play at, but is it worth going out right now and even attempting to do anything?
I mean personally, Mike, I'd rather wait until everybody's safe and everybody feels good about being together and going out, and we can all enjoy ourselves together. I would hate it to put anybody at risk. I would hate anybody to get sick at one of my shows. I've got a responsibility to myself, a responsibility to my family, and a responsibility to the people that come to see me play. And until that's safe and we can all just go in there and forget about the outside world and have a good time like we used to, I'll wait. I'll wait until that's the case. Yeah.
You know, again, I'm hearing a lot of good stuff about this record on the internet from people. After all these years, I mean, I shouldn't say years, it's been decades and decades that you've been writing music. Do you really care what people write about anymore, or the reviews? Because the internet has given a lot of people a lot of power to, like, you know, just write whatever they want, whether they know anything about it or not. Do you pay attention?
I do. I read the stuff that people write, and, you know, being a musician, you've got to have a thick skin. You're working in this, you've got to have a really, really thick skin. And I'm of the opinion, you know, it gets me down that people would go out of their way to be negative. I think it gets me down people go out of their way to be negative in life generally, because I just don't get it. I mean, you know, to attack somebody, you know, if I don't like something or it doesn't appeal to me, I don't buy it or I don't listen to it. I'm not going to go on there and go, you suck, and why you do, you know, why put that negative energy on somebody else? And you know, people that are doing that and putting that out there, they need to have a long, hard look at themselves, because that shit begins at home. Excuse my language. That begins at home and in the mirror. And you know, I just, there's so much negativity. You know, why? You know, everybody's trying to do the best that they can, and you know, let's get some positivity going out there.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it really has become horrible when you think about it, because listen, not every artist is going to write music that appeals to every single human being on the face of the earth. You know, they'll have their fans, they'll have people, but just say, well, it's you know, it's not really my cup of tea, it's not my record. I think I can handle that with no problem, but like I said, the viciousness of it is what gets to you. And when you first started, like, you know, reading reviews about your music, no matter how far back it was, did you try to change anything about how you did things based on that review, or did you just kind of let it go off your chest?
I've never changed a thing due to what somebody said to me that I didn't know or didn't trust. Like, if somebody I really admire and trust has an opinion, I will listen to that opinion and give it some thought, and if I agree with it, I'll act on it. But, you know, somebody I've never met, or somebody that doesn't know me as a person or whatever, and wants to go on there and slag me off, you know, have fun, enjoy it, but it's not going to change anything.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so what's the plans for the? I mean, we're only in the beginning of the year, but are there any plans for this year? I mean, it's kind of hard to promote the record out live. So what do you do? Just, you know, keep with the interviews and maybe the online shows this year?
At the moment, yeah. You know, until, like I said, we get the all clear. I'm hoping that might be at the end of the year. I'm moving some stuff into 2022, but yeah, I mean, as soon as I can get back out there and play and it's all good, I will be there. As much as I can. At the moment, I'm just playing the waiting game like everybody else.
Yeah, I tell you, when this does clear, I hate to be the bookers and the promotion They're gonna have trying to get people in the venues, you know? It's got to be...
Well, the venues, it'll be great for the venues to be, you know, have a show on every night, people going to them every night, because they, believe me, the venues need it too, really badly.
True. You know, last year, I keep saying last year, I'm forgetting we're 2021 now, but in 2019, Another State of Grace, another amazing album from Black Star Riders.
Thank you.
When you talk about being a kid in Ireland, I mean, you know, Thin Lizzy have to be the hometown heroes. Did you ever just say to yourself, one day, and then actually happen?
Listen, we all dream when we were kids of singing in our favorite band. I mean, that's always the dream when you're a kid. I mean, I lucked out big time. I just lucked out big time, and it's such an honor and privilege, and it's a humbling experience just to sing those wonderful Thin Lizzy songs, because they were a part of my DNA growing up in Ireland, and they are my favourite band of all time, and nothing has changed in that respect, and to look after those wonderful songs that Phil left us is a huge honour for me, huge honour.
And Ricky, I have to tell you, you do it, because, you know, there have been a lot of bands that have lost a key member or the lead singer who's always the focal point of the band, and some guys have stepped in and made it their own, some guys haven't. You definitely have made it your own, and you've held homage to the great Phil. So, I mean... I
appreciate that. Thank you so much. Well, look, you know, Phil's still the lead singer of Thin Lizzy. He always will be. He's irreplaceable. And in my mind, you know, when I close my eyes, when I see Lizzy, I don't see it with me, I see it with Phil. Phil's a guy. I'm not the lead singer of Thin Lizzy. All I've been doing is I've just been given the keys to the songs, and I'm just giving them I'm just taking them out there and letting people hear what they're missing. So hopefully they can go and check out Phil, or people who never got to see Lizzy back in the day, or even younger kids that are discovering Lizzy for the first time. If I can drive them back to how great Phil was, and they can go and check all of that, then that makes me very happy.
I think you've done that. But Ricky, I'm not going to keep... I know you got a whole bunch of these things to do, but Life Was Hard and Fast, what an amazing record, man. I'm looking forward to the next one already, and I'm still devouring this one.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate all your support, my friend. Thank you so much.
I'm always there for you, buddy. You have a great day. You take care of yourself. Stay safe.
You too, my friend. Stay safe. You too. Thanks, Mike. Take care. Bye-bye.